Hello and welcome to the Geeks Talk Back podcast. I'm Sean. Over there is Chris.
Hello.
You're listening to the Geeks Talk Back podcast. I'm your co-host Sean, and each week Chris and I will put our own nerdy spin on topics ranging from movies to toys to video games, whatever strikes our fancy. If you like us, please subscribe on iTunes and follow us on Twitter at Geeks Talk Back or visit us on geekstalkback.com and be sure to like us on Facebook. You can also find episodes on our YouTube channel, the Geeks Talk Back Podcast. When it comes to podcasts, we know you have choices, and thank you for flying Geeks Talk Back.
By the power of Grayskull, we're sending you back to the future! Go! Okay, man, let's turn and burn!
Force is strong in this one.
The plaque for the alternate is down in the ladies' room.
Welcome back to the Geeks Talk Back podcast. This is episode 4, which is actually our first episode, but we here at the Geeks Talk Back do not recognize episodes 1 through 3. In this first episode, we will introduce ourselves and hopefully establish a bit of geek cred, if you will. Also, we will dive into the topic of the geek/nerd in 2015, as well as the trend of pseudo-nerdism in today's culture. Plus, we will also talk about our expectations for Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and round out the show just for fun with a bit of a trivia challenge. And now, on with the show. Okay, like I said, I'm Sean, that's Chris, and this is our podcast, Geeks Talk Back. So, being the first episode, we'll take this time to get to know each other. And we have, rather than talk about ourselves, we have some interview questions we're going to read to each other. And I'll go first. So, Chris, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, what got you interested in this realm of geekdom?
Well, I'm an 80s baby, and a lot of the stuff from the 80s were kind of geeky. Star Wars, He-Man, Thundercats, all that kind of good stuff. I'm really into computers, have been pretty much my whole life, video games. I'm in my mid-30s, and I collect toys, you collect toys, I play video games. I still watch Thundercats. In fact, you got me season 1 of Thundercats in a box set last Christmas, I think it was.
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. And then last year you got me a little mini Voltron, which is one of my favorite shows.
Vintage Voltron.
Vintage Voltron, not this new shit. We are an explicit podcast, so I can cuss because I'm going to. X-Wings miniature games. We go to cons. We both went to San Diego Comic-Con 2 years ago now. We just went to Salt Lake City Comic-Con. I enjoy nerdy things. Nerdy, geeky, computers, games, programming, web design. There's certain things I'm not really into. I didn't really get into the Lord of the Rings. I didn't get into The Hobbit and all that stuff. Not a Doctor Who fan. Just not my cup of tea, but I can appreciate it all, I know if you look at the logo that Sean came up with, the title of the show and everything else, it looks like we're Star Wars. Sean is a hardcore Star Wars fan.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, the reference to we don't like anything episode 1 through 3. I would agree with Sean, but not to the level that he is anti episodes 1 through 3 of Star Wars. Also, I can appreciate Star Trek as well, which Sean doesn't really get into.
I can appreciate Star Trek. I'm just not a Star Trek fan.
Correct. And I guess I wouldn't even call myself a Star Trek fan, but I do enjoy them, I think, more than you do. I think you would...
You would have to.
I would have to. So, that's kind of where I'm at.
Fair enough. Okay, moving on. If you now met yourself in high school, would you be friends with yourself, or would you kick your own ass?
Oh, I'd definitely be friends with myself. I'm not, in my opinion, and I think Amber, my wife, will back me up, I'm not much different now than I was when I was 17, 18 years old. I still do the same shit. I still make the same jokes. I watch the same movies. I still play video games, so I think we would be best of friends, much like you and I are, because you remind me of myself.
Awesome. Okay, and what were you in high school? What clique or group did you fall into?
I didn't really fall into any of them. I started out in high school. I actually played football my freshman year. but that didn't really last. And then I was in ROTC the remainder of high school, but I hung out with everybody. I didn't really have one clique. I knew some of the jocks, or what you would consider jocks, from being in football. I hung out with band nerds because my wife was in color guard and she hung out with the band nerds, so I was, part of that clique. I was part of the computer club. I was part of the chess club at one point.
Chess club, really?
I did briefly, and then realized I thought I knew how to play chess, and went to a couple of their meetings and just got annihilated. I'm like, okay, I know how to play chess, but these guys are just way too into it, and I kind of let that one go.
Well,
Plus,
I think being in a club and understanding the rules are two different things.
yeah, absolutely. So that didn't last very long. I met my wife Amber in high school. I was 15, she was 14. I was a sophomore, she was a freshman. So I hung out with her a lot and her friends. Like I said, she was with the band guys. I was with my ROTC guys. So I was kind of all over the place. I wouldn't say I was one clique, if that's what you want to call it.
Okay. And what is your greatest geek memory?
I would have to say I have two off the top of my head. My mom got me the full size vintage Voltron.
I've heard you talk about
for
that.
my 18th birthday. But I can't find it. I think she has it in storage somewhere. But I don't remember if I took it to me when I went to college and I lost it. The second one is, I think, when you and I went to San Diego Comic-Con.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. Specifically, one night we got drunk and you spit off the balcony and took out the pizza delivery guy.
Now, in my defense, I spit and the pizza guy walked into it.
He did.
It was not intentional. There's no way I did it on purpose.
No, he did not. I can't say he spit on the pizza delivery guy.
My spit hit him.
Your spit hit him because I'll set up the stage. We were on the third floor balcony of our hotel room,
A ghetto motel room.
But it was San Diego Comic-Con. Like, you either spend $300 a night or a hotel, or you're in the ghetto.
Or you spent 80 like we did.
Yeah, and it was ghetto. It was bad ghetto, but it was an experience. We had a great time. But so one night after the con, we're back at the hotel room. We'd had a couple of beers, and I was smoking out on the balcony. Sean was out there with me, and we were just bullshitting. And then he just hawks this big old loogie, and we both watch, and it's literally that slow-mo. We both watch. No, don't. And you see the pizza delivery guy come across, and you think he's going to go one way, but he doesn't. He comes the other way and literally walks right into that spit. Like, the angle and the trajectory, there's no way you could have planned that.
Ugh.
But then he screams, "Come on, really?" Or something like that. And we're like, we're two grown-ass men, and this is like, an 18-year-old kid, and we go run and hide inside the hotel room because we're afraid he's going to beat our ass. So those are my two favorite greatest geek memories.
So it's Voltron and me spitting on the pizza guy.
Voltron and you being on the pizza guy at Comic-Con.
Okay. Now, you may have already touched on this one, but what was your favorite toy growing up?
Again, I think I have two. One is going to be the Voltron. And I guess that's not really growing up because I was pretty much a grown-ass man on my 18th birthday.
Fair enough.
And I didn't really play with it. It was more of a collector piece. I did take it out of the box. I think the one that I played with the most is one Christmas. I was probably 10 or so. I don't remember what year it was, but my mom got me the G.I. Joe mobile base that had the stories that folded out, and it was like 3 stories tall. I mean, that thing probably stood 18 inches tall, and then he folded it out on different levels. And it was badass. There's still parts of it in my childhood home where my mom still lives, and I go back and I look at it every once in a while, and I think, oh, I could do this, and then I look and see what all is missing, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's just not. I don't want to mess with it. In fact, I think at this point my brother sold it. So those are my two favorite toys.
That's awesome. Okay, anything else you haven't touched on as far as any other things you're into that are geek/nerd related?
Like I said, I play video games. I've played World of Warcraft probably more than I'd like to admit. I play a lot of different games. Call of Duty, Battlefield. I played the beta for Battlefront. Haven't bought it yet.
Oh, I've got it. It's awesome.
I know it's awesome. It's just I haven't got around to doing it yet with Christmas and whatnot. I program. I've designed my own programs. I've designed web pages. I build computers. I just built my son one. So I'm into everything pretty much.
Sounds good.
So. All right,
Okay.
now it's your turn.
This is my turn.
All right, so we're going to start same questions here. So what got you interested in this realm of geekdom, as you so eloquently put it?
Well, I gotta say, it's probably my dad. My dad was big into sci-fi. I mean, he was, hardcore into the Outer Limits and the Twilight Zone. So I grew up watching the old
X-Files.
Oh yeah, he's a huge X-File fan. And he was, way into the classic sci-fi, like Days That Stood Still, or even the bad ones, like the Plan 9 From Outer Space. It was like the worst movie ever made,
Yeah,
next to the prequels.
throw that jab in there.
I got you every time. And, he's the one that really got me into it because, whenever he's watching TV, if it wasn't something history-related documentary, it was going to be sci-fi. And, as I got older, it just stuck with me. It became something I was, I don't say forced to watch, but something that, was always, put in front of me.
Yeah.
So something that I just grew to love that. So my dad, my love of Star Wars came from my dad too. Although he was a big Star Trek fan as well. He liked both. There's that deleted scene on Pulp Fiction where Uma Thurman is telling John Travolta about, are you a Beatles man or an Elvis man? You can like both, but not both equally.
Yeah.
Well, my dad liked both equally.
Okay.
But I just never got into Star Trek. I just could not get into Star Trek. I don't know what it was. But again, no hatred for it, just no love for it either.
Gotcha. So if you had the percentage, like for me, percentage Star Wars to Star Trek, I'd say I'd go probably 70-30 leaning towards Star Wars. I'm more of a Star Wars fan than a Star Trek fan, but I like them. Where would you be at that percentage?
Probably 99-1.
99, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to sidetrack it and do a follow-up question to that first question. So we're sitting in what we've affectionately called Echo Base.
Correct.
Okay. For those, I know we're audio, so you guys can't appreciate the greatness here.
We'll post pictures.
But we are sitting in what we like to call Sean's toy room. And it is literally a bedroom in his house that is dedicated to nothing but toys. Now, it's not the master bedroom, but it's a bedroom. That's what this was, correct?
Yeah, this is the bedroom.
This was so you have a 3-bedroom house. One is the master.
Yeah, so now I effectively have a 2-bedroom house.
You have a 2-bedroom house with a toy room. And he's got shelves, and it's very meticulously organized. I've watched him do it. It's retarded. But he's got, let's see, so to my left this is the Hot Wheels wall.
No, this is just the Fords of the Hot Wheels.
Oh, this is just Ford.
Just Fords.
Okay. So just Ford Hot Wheels. Behind him is a whole bunch of Star Wars, and then G.I. Joe, and then there's some, are those Batman?
They're movie Hot Wheels.
Movie Hot Wheels. And then we have shelves with Star Wars bobbleheads, Star Wars figures, some in the boxes still, some out, various lightsabers, and Star Wars memorabilia. He's got a Han and Luke in Stormtrooper outfits. Those are what?
30-inch.
30-inch. Couple of scenes, and I'm moving around the mic. So, what else do you have over there?
Oh, I got the SpaghettiOs and the Campbell's soup that
Okay.
came out this year. I've got the
So that commercial is you.
the Room of Lies.
Yeah, the Room of Lies.
Absolutely.
Okay,
that is me.
That's what I thought. I sent him that YouTube video.
In fact, Tammy, my girlfriend, has actually called that the Room of
Yeah,
Lies,
it's-
and has my 7-year-old son William also calling it the Room of Lies.
All right. So we have G.I. Joes, more Hot Wheels. You have some Marvel big figures. So my question is how did you go from a dad influence of Star Wars and Star Trek and sci-fi to the toy collecting?
Actually, the way that came about was growing up. My parents were not well-to-do. I mean, they both worked, and so I'm the oldest of 5 kids.
Okay.
So they both worked, and again, they weren't, doctors and lawyers. My parents were, they were workers. I don't say they're laborers and all that, but they worked
Blue collar.
blue collar.
Okay.
Good, thank you. They worked blue collar jobs. So the money they made went to food and clothes and power and everything else. So we didn't have extra.
Especially-
We didn't have extra stuff.
Especially with 5 kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we got stuff on Christmas and our birthdays. That's when we got our new toys.
Gotcha.
And even then, it wasn't anything extravagant. And when we did get something, it was something that was, it meant a lot because it was going to be a whole other year before it came along again. Now, Christmas is in December. My birthday's in November. So it wasn't like it was evenly spaced. I mean,
Gotcha.
it's pretty much got 1 month the next month, and then I have a whole other year to go. So,
That makes sense.
yeah, so, I mean, there were a lot of toys that I really wanted growing up that I couldn't ever get. Like my Star Wars vehicles. Growing up, I had none of the Star Wars vehicles.
Okay.
I had no X-Wings, no TIE Fighters, no Millennium Falcons. But there's always that one kid that had everything.
Yeah.
And Shane.
And you wanted to stab him.
Yeah, Shane McCormick. If you're out there, South Lake Tahoe, California.
You know him
Yeah.
by name.
Yeah, I hate you.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so, fast forward, 20 years later, I'm actually, looking at, eBay and everything else. I'm thinking, I can go on eBay. I can get those toys I wanted now.
Okay.
So I started, collecting my childhood desires now.
Gotcha.
And-
when you're a grown ass man and can afford it.
I'm a grown ass man. I can afford it. It's my money to do what I want.
That's right.
Yeah, so basically, it goes from just like the key 3 or 4 things that I wanted to, just
A whole room.
yeah, it got out of hand.
And you have a girlfriend who's accepting of this.
Yeah, actually, she's encouraging of it.
Yeah, that's good.
In fact, you need to talk about the San Diego or the Salt Lake Comic Con we just went to.
Yeah.
We went to the R2 Builders Forum.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, I'm looking at that, and I don't know if I had to look at my face, if I was drooling. I don't know what.
You were drooling a little bit.
Probably a little bit. And, well, I mean, there was guys that actually worked on Episode 7 that had their droids there.
Yeah, that was pretty badass.
So it wasn't just a situation of, look what I made. I mean, they're actually, legit builders. They've got, Lucasfilm cred.
Yeah.
And, I mean, she leans over and goes, you should build one. So,
Gotta love her.
I do.
We love Tammy. All right, let's get on to number 2. If you now met yourself in high school, would you be friends with you or would you kick your ass? your own ass, sorry.
Okay, well, actually, my high school self, I kick my ass now because I have all the toys I wanted back then.
Okay, touche.
But,
Touche.
but as far as me now, me then, it's the same as you. I'm the same. I haven't changed much.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like the same stuff. I still dress the same.
So do I.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure I had this T-shirt in some form. The not Star Wars.
Transformers.
The Transformers Decepticon camo. I think. I'm pretty sure I had some variation of this in high school.
Yeah, so no, I definitely would be friends with myself.
All right. So, what were you in high school?
I was kind of amorphic.
Amorphic.
Amorphic, yeah, I'm dropping a word on you there.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Well, I mean, I was, my freshman year, I had long hair and I had a Poison T-shirt. I got the yearbook photo to prove it.
Wow. We might have to pull those up and
Yeah.
post them.
If you can find one, I'd love to see it. In fact, I think I still have the T-shirt. But I was, again, I'm still in the metal, still in the punk, and I didn't really fit in with the, completely with the metalheads because I didn't smoke, weed, so I didn't fit in with them. I went out for baseball, and that lasted about a week, I think. I just didn't quite gel with the jocks and all that.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't, I did well in science. I did well in computer classes, but not to the probably your level.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I didn't quite fit in there. So I was kind of like, bouncing back and forth everywhere. So I was,
Gotcha.
I was kind of just, all over the place.
All right.
I had friends in all the cliques, but wasn't really a part of any clique in particular.
So we were very similar in that we were kind of
Yeah,
got along with everybody.
Which
I mean,
tends to be the trend with us.
Yeah, Yeah, we get along with everybody. I wasn't. I mean, I'm a fat kid and still am, but I didn't get picked on because I was friends with everybody. So, all right. What's your greatest geek memory?
Greatest geek memory? Well, actually, it's two of them. One involves Star Trek. Believe it or not.
Okay. Setting a precedence.
Yeah. Well, just the one time. No, my dad took me to see Star Trek motion picture.
The original one.
The original one.
Okay.
Which I remember nothing of other than spilling my popcorn immediately and the ball jig. That's all I remember. My dad was really excited about it.
All right.
Again, because this was the first one.
Yeah.
No, but my greatest geek memory ever is by far going to see Return of the Jedi in the theater with my dad.
See, I don't remember. I mean, well, I was born in '81, so
Yeah. Well, I was born in 75.
yeah. So you have a couple years on
yeah.
me.
So I was 8 years old.
When it came out.
And my dad, look at his face. He was 8 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just.
That's a good memory. I didn't
Yeah.
have that experience.
Yeah. So he was all about Return of the Jedi. This is it. This is where it all comes together. And then we went. Again, and I'd already seen Star Wars. I'd already seen Empire.
Hmm.
So Jedi. For me, it was just again 8 years old. I wasn't really that. I guess appreciative of it.
Yeah, you didn't understand the whole trilogy aspect.
Exactly. I didn't understand it's all coming together because it's just another Star Wars movie. I mean,
Yeah.
it was great. The action was awesome. I mean, I think Empire is still probably superior film, but
Yeah, I would agree.
which we'll debate later on.
Mm-hmm.
But but as far as being a great memory, my dad was always, or he was extremely excited about that movie, and he was. So I was pumped, watching him get pumped, and going to see it. And the greatest thing is that this month, episode 7 comes out,
Yep.
and I'm taking my kids to see episode 7.
Yeah.
So something that started 30 years ago
Yep.
is going to continue on now.
Let's see, we're what, like 2 weeks away? No, less than.
Well, today's the 5th, so we're only
December 5th.
So we're only 12 days,
Yep, 12 days.
and we have our tickets.
We pre-ordered. First opening night. Well, we don't have the opening showing, unfortunately, but we got the second showing on opening night on Thursday
Because my girlfriend had to go.
because she had to go.
And we had to find 3 seats next to each other. even.
Exactly. All right. What was your favorite toy growing up?
My favorite toy growing up, it's got to be the G.I. Joe Tomahawk.
Which
Yeah.
one's a Tomahawk?
It was the twin motor Sikorsky type helicopter, the cargo helicopter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was that one because, again, when we got toys for Christmas for our birthdays, it never was anything extravagant.
Yeah.
This was a big monstrosity of a toy.
I remember it now that you say it.
So I guess in this instance, size matters because it was probably my biggest toy, but also my favorite.
All right. Anything else you want to add about your quote-unquote geek cred on why we're doing this?
Well, you already touched on my toy collection,
Yes.
and aside from, I said I'm also into video games. Xbox One, Xbox 360. We have the Wii, and then the girlfriend and I were starting to collect the older consoles.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna actually have a wall of consoles at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, so we got the you still owe me a NES.
I do. I have 2 of them. I gotta I gotta find the power cords. I don't know where they went.
There's always an excuse.
Yep.
I said, but we've got the we have the Sega Master System, we've got the Wii, we've got the 360, we've got the One, got the NES promised to us at some point,
I have it. It's yours. I just gotta find the shit.
and then we're gonna do the Sega Genesis. I think I've already said that. I don't know. And then the old Atari 2600.
Nice. All right. So I think that's it for our intro. And now we're gonna go into quick fire questions.
Quick fire questions.
All right, we're just going to do a handful of questions back and forth. I'm going to start and ask Sean just some quick geek questions. Monty Python.
Okay.
Would Monty Python still be funny if they had American accents?
American accents. That's such a damn good question.
That's a damn good question. Not a huge fan of Monty Python, but I can appreciate it.
Oh, I'd love Monty Python. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Fantastic movie. It's hilarious every time I see it. And then, have you ever seen the skit with them where they do the dead parrot? The guy brings back the dead parrot to the pet shop.
I vaguely recall that.
I would say no. They would not be as funny
I
with
don't
American
think they would
accents.
either. All right.
That's a good question. I like that.
Let's see. I'm going to skip this one because you're not a World of Warcraft raider. But your girlfriend is, so I love her for that.
Okay, well,
Well,
ask me, I'll ask her later.
let's see. We'll have her on the show, I'm sure, at some point. Would you rather have to watch a hologram of your parents having sex, or
Anything else? What?
open mouth kiss your own clone?
I would definitely have to go with the clone.
All right, we'll go with the clone.
Oh God,
Um,
can you bleach your brain?
Yeah.
I don't remember
all
that at all.
right, I think I know this answer for you, but I would, even though I'm a Star Wars fan, I don't know which way I would go. Would you rather have a lightsaber or
Yes,
Iron Man suit?
lightsaber.
See,
Hands down.
I think that'd be a tough one. Okay.
Let me ask you this: would a lightsaber like just up your game in mailbox baseball?
Yeah, but at the same time, I can totally see myself cutting my leg off like within 15 seconds of having one, because I'd be twirling that shit around and.
You gotta have responsibility, though.
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
know. All right, let's see. See, I think I know your answer to this one too, because of your Star Wars bias, and I know
Bias.
that's number 1 and 2, so I'm not going to ask those.
It's a bias.
One of them's an MMORPG game, which you're not into. All right, here we go. Last one.
Last one already? Wow.
Yeah, I think we're going to run way long than we were
I think you've.
anticipating.
Well, right now we're at 26 minutes.
Well, that's not as bad as I thought. All right, can Superman be turned into a vampire or a zombie?
I don't know because again, he's an alien.
Yeah.
So I don't know how far the vampiric germ, if it, whatever. I don't know.
Vampiric germ.
I heard that in the office, but I don't know. I would say no, just because I don't know.
Okay. I don't know either. That's a good question. Now, my question, like, you'd have to look at it from a couple of different aspects. Besides the alien, in my opinion, would you, I mean, he's the Man of Steel. He, depending on what version you're referring to, whether the old school ones or the newer ones, but he basically gets shot up with a Gatling gun and his eyeball crushes the bullet. So I wouldn't think that a vampire's teeth would be able to pierce his skin. So you wouldn't even have to worry about that. But then the question would be is technically he could.
Is a vampire's teeth the only way to administer whatever makes you into a vampire?
Theoretically, it's them sucking your blood and that transfer of saliva.
So it's like AIDS.
It's like AIDS is the way everything I've watched. I mean, I was watching Blade Trinity, and by the way, Jessica Biel's hot. I don't care what you say. So
I was only saying she wasn't because there's someone I can't remember who it was.
I think it was Jennifer Aniston. I think you're right. I killed your fantasy.
Yeah, well, you didn't kill it, but you just shit talked it.
Yeah. No, and I'm not saying she's not hot, but she's not in my top 5.
Well, she's my top 2.
Okay. All right. So
Well, unlike you, I actually prepared questions.
I didn't. I'll do my homework next time, Dad.
Okay, again, just
Well, I got your trivia questions.
oh, fair enough.
Those were good ones.
Okay, and again, they're basic questions. I mean,
All right.
and a lot of this we've covered already. Star Trek or Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Luke or Han Solo.
Ooh. I personally think Luke was a pussy in the first film.
Okay, I said we're going to blows. You're just
Yeah.
calling. No one calls Han Solo
No,
a pussy.
no, I had to catch myself. I think Luke was a little bit of a pussy in the first movie. He got a little bit better in the second, and then by the end of the third movie, he was pretty much a badass. I like the whole almost anti-hero, if that makes sense, where they start off, he's this smuggler, he shoots Guido, and yes, he did shoot Guido. He didn't shoot Greedo. I'm sorry.
This isn't the Sopranos.
I've had a couple
It's
of beers.
Greedo. It's Greedo.
I forgot the R. Greedo.
It's like Tammy always calls Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. Oh, God forbid. Anyway, Han shooting him, and he didn't shoot first. He shot him
Only.
Thank
you for that.
That whole, he's kind of a bad guy. He's kind of a dick, but
He's awesome.
But he's awesome. So,
All right. Kirk or Picard.
I'm going to have to go with Picard.
Good. No, stop. You're right.
Okay. All right, Picard.
Kirk was just a man whore.
He was. Yeah.
It was, and he didn't care. I mean, it was green, purple, blue. He didn't give a shit.
And he got laid a lot, though. Probably has a lot of diseases, too, though.
Probably things that are foreign to this planet.
All right, we'll get next.
Scarlet or Lady J?
Ooh. I love redheads. I got to go with Scarlet.
I'm with you on that one, too. All right. Autobot or Decepticon?
I think I'd swing Autobot.
Despite the shirt you're wearing.
Despite the fact that I'm wearing a Decepticon shirt, but I do have an Autobot shirt as well to represent.
Of all days to say Autobot.
Yeah.
All right. He-Man or Skeletor?
I didn't really... I'd still have to go with He-Man.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the pink shirt, he was a little bit of a bitch, but...
Okay, Scarlet Witch or Black Widow?
Black Widow.
I know your answer on that one.
Scarlett Johansson did it for me.
With your affinity for redheads. So
I love redheads. I love them redheads.
Okay, the last two questions I have, they're ongoing debates over at the Star Joe's podcast.
Okay.
So anyone listening, check them out on iTunes. Ryan, I've been emailing Ryan back and forth, and he has been awesome with advice and everything else so far.
So we can get this started.
Get this cast going,
Yeah.
and he has just been awesome. So go to iTunes and be sure to check out the Star Joe's podcast. You're into G.I. Joe, Star Wars comics. Check them out. You'll love it.
And I have to download them. I haven't started listening to it yet. So.
Yeah, they're great. I listen to them constantly. All right, 3PO or R2?
I'd have to go with R2.
I agree 100%, but there's a contention over there that R2 is 3PO's sidekick. But
R2 is...
That's what they're saying.
Really?
Yeah.
I would go the other way.
I pretty much... I agree 100%.
All right. Well, we'll delve into that later. we're making lists.
Much
of
later.
items.
All right. And the last question is Chewbacca a sidekick?
That is a good question. I tend to want to say yes because it's like with you as always is Garth. Yeah. Garth. Yeah.
Going Wayne's World there?
Yeah, going Wayne's World, you know, where he gets all indignant. With you as always is Garth. But at the same time, depending on what universe you get into, I mean, he kind of did his own thing at one point. He's kind of...
Yeah, again, I don't get into expanded universe at all.
No,
so...
but just looking at even some of the, some of the actions that he took in the movies themselves.
But what did he do on his own?
That's the thing. Nothing really.
Yeah, the only thing he did on his own was grab the meat and Jedi and get them all trapped in the net.
Yeah. Well, that is true. He could be a sidekick. I don't know.
Yeah. I think he is. I want to say that
I could lean towards that way.
Yeah, I want to say that he is a sidekick.
Yeah. All right.
But that's just my answer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sway you in any way.
That's a good question. I don't know that I could give an answer at this point.
So you're taking the fifth on that one?
I'll plead the fifth on that one. I'll have to examine this a little bit more.
All right. Yeah, that's a little bit about us. And another topic I want to get into today was the sudden, just huge positive portrayal of geeks and nerds in today's culture. I mean, I went through shit in school. Again, I mean, by 1990s standards, I wasn't bullied, but by today's much stricter standards, I definitely was. I mean, I wasn't, pushed into lockers. It wasn't the wedgies, the swirlies, that sort of thing, but certainly was, excluded, called, nerd, called geek, called whatever.
Nerds!
Exactly. Now, I never saw, in my life, the button-down shirts with the pocket protectors and the black frame glass. I never saw that.
I don't think I did either.
That's also almost like a caricature of what a nerd actually is.
I think so.
But, certainly, guys like Chuck Lorre who bring the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, he's probably one of the most prolific in bringing, nerds to the positive forefront.
Well, we kind of briefly, as we were preparing for the show on topics and stuff, I also mentioned Mythbusters.
Absolutely.
I love Mythbusters. Adam and Jamie. I'm very sad to see they're actually in the process of wrapping up MythBusters as a show.
Actually, today was the last day of shooting, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both listened to the Tested podcast, or Still Untitled.
Still Untitled.
With Adam Savage and Will Smith and Norman Chan. And they were talking their latest show. They're talking about how they're in the process of finishing up the show. And I was really sad to see that. I know they're on tour, and I was hoping to get to go see them, but unfortunately, it's not going to happen. But I basically, for the last 15 years, have watched that show. I remember, watching it when it first came out, and I've watched it off and on. But it's a regular setting on my DVR.
Yeah.
I have 45 episodes of MythBusters sitting at home on my DVR that I can watch at any time.
I watched it last night.
Yeah, and I know there's Christmas Eve. They're doing on, I think it's the Sci-Fi Channel or one of them. They're showing every single episode of MythBusters in
Really?
the marathon. Yeah. So I'm going to clear out all my DVR for MythBusters and set it. And but I think they kind of, I mean, looking at Adam Savage, he is a geek. I mean, looking at some of the stuff on their website and some of the videos they've done, I mean, he's built a Han Solo blaster. What is it? You know this stuff better than I. What's this blaster called?
DL-45?
DL-45.
I think it's... Well, if I'm wrong, I'm sure someone will correct me.
But he's into to that nerdy culture. I mean, he worked at ILM on episode, I think, 2 and 3, or 1 and 2, or
no, it's 2 and 3.
2 and 3. So he's into a lot of the same stuff we are. But they made, not just being a geek necessarily, but they made science interesting. They made learning about science, learning about various things, whether it be electronics or photography, or I remember basically them being the pioneers of slow-mo explosions and slow-mo impacts and stuff like that. And I think it didn't hurt that they had Carrie Byron on there, who's a stone cold fox, in my opinion.
Well, at some point they did, but in the early days they didn't.
Correct. It was it was
just the two of them.
It was just the two of them when they started out, and I want to say it was episode or season 3 or 4, maybe 5. Could be later. I don't know, when they brought in the other guys, the other 3, and she was a hottie, and they kind of, the last, I think, two seasons they got rid of them, but so they're making interesting. They're making learning about science specifically, basically STEM stuff, science, technology, engineering, and math. They made that stuff fun and interesting. And so, like me sitting at home learning math and learning science on my own time because I enjoyed it, I was a nerd, but then there's this TV show that's all they're doing. Excuse me. So I think they kind of started that push to make science, technology, and math, engineering.
Okay. Well, is it possible also that because in order for you to basically learn that in, pre-Mythbusters, you had to seek it out on your own, where on Mythbusters it's being spoon-fed to you?
It very well could be too. And again, I'm lumping in the stuff that we enjoy, like the Star Wars and the toys and the comics, with, science geeks and math geeks, because I was one. I went to college for a couple of years in Arizona for aerospace engineering. I wanted to work for NASA. It's kind of, I think a lot of the people that cross over are similar in their what they like and whatnot.
Right.
But then you also mentioned Big Bang Theory, and I think their tagline when it first came out was "Geek is the new chic," and it caught on like crazy.
Right.
It doesn't hurt that they had a hot blonde that was kind of into the geeks, and it makes it these 4 guys who are basically nerds just like we are.
Right.
They're into their doctors and engineers and all this crap, and they like Star Wars, they like Star Trek, they play World of Warcraft without calling it World of Warcraft,
and D&D.
Yeah, and D&D and all this crap, and then there's this hot blonde who's into it, and it gives geeks and nerds around the world some hope. Yeah, some hope that, I can get the hot cheerleader.
And those that aren't nerds, it gives them something to look at as far as eye candy goes.
Exactly. So, and their shows are interesting. There's a little bit of drama. There's a little bit of relationship stuff. There's this, obviously I think it's more of a comedy than anything else, but they do throw this kind of other, underlying tones that everybody can kind of pick up on and enjoy. So.
No, that's a very good answer. And I think that also kind of, lends itself to the, I don't know if I coined it or not, but the word I've been using is, the pseudo nerds. Mm. You see like the 250-pound roid monsters in the gym that are, clearly the ones that were the jocks at high school, the same ones that called you a nerd, called you a geek, everything else. They're the ones that will, I say, they drive the H2 Hummers. They got, the Center for a Girlfriend, but they got the Boba Fett tattoo. Well, see, I'm a nerd now. Yeah. Now, I was prepared to come here today and just blast those guys.
Yes, you were. I remember you talking about it.
Yeah, because I can feel my blood boiling just talking about those assholes. And because I went through crap go through school. Mm. Being called, geek or nerd or whatever else. And then, and to a point where I someone would say that, I just, take offense to it. Like, no, I'm not. I try to defend myself that I'm not a nerd. See, I'll show you I'm not a nerd. So I was kind of, trying to, fit in, I guess. Which that may have gone back to the whole amorphic thing, where I was, kind of like, bouncing back and forth between all the different groups. But I read an article yesterday in preparing for, the show today that actually changed my mind 100%.
Okay. Do explain.
I will explain.
Okay.
I'm not going to leave it just at that.
All right.
I read an article about the people that are trying to, do whatever they could to fit in school, the popular kids. Mm-hmm. They were the ones that had the popular clothes, popular cars, listening to the same music and everything else, trying to do everything they could to do what they thought everyone else thought would be cool.
Okay.
They got into, relationships based on nothing other than, well, look, you've got those kind of shoes. I got the same kind of shoes. Look, we're part of the same group. We're the cool kids. Doing everything they can, trying to fit in. Where in all reality, their relationships are based on nothing. Okay. And I believe the article used the term even pseudo maturity. They're basically too old for their age.
Okay.
They got into girls too early. They got into sex too early, and actually that kind of like formed a rocky foundation for their future relationships. And then he said if you look at a lot of the kids who were like president of the student body or the the star quarterbacks in high school, they have led less than successful lives now because they really have no basis, because high school adolescence, that's when you kind of learn to form relationships.
Yeah.
And if the only thing you learn, it's based on nothing other than trying to do what everyone else thinks you should be doing, basically you're flying blind come lifetime. And so all those guys you see, I refer to them as peaking in high school.
Yeah.
That was the highlight of their life, was high school. Day one of, after their senior year, that's when their life starts, going downhill. Mm. And the nerds who were excluded from everything were basically lumped together, and they all form relationships based on common interests and common goals. And so they actually would form healthy relationships and actually be more successful in life. So I think, the guys like Chuck Lorre, he probably was a nerd in high school.
Very well.
But it's almost like the nerds then are running the world now.
Oh, absolutely.
So, in a way, the guys that will be the giant roid monsters with the Boba Fett tattoo, see, look, I'm a nerd now, because the nerds are more or less calling the shots, mm-hmm. and they're still trying to fit in.
Bill Gates, Steve Jobs,
yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
I mean, they're...
Yeah, so they're the ones that are calling the shots. They're the ones showing this is what's really cool. Yeah. So it's them. They're still trying to fit in. So my whole outlook on it has gone from something of, just, I don't want to say hatred, but disdain for them for trying to, pretend to be something that I've been, saddled with my whole life. Mm-hmm. So it went from disdain to actually sympathy. I feel sorry for them now.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a couple of issues to it, and I agree with you, or I don't want to say agree with you because I didn't read the article, but I see what you're saying.
It's okay to agree with me.
I don't agree with you. I'm going to come over this table and fight you in the face with a spoon. I think there's a couple of things too. Talking about geeks and nerds in 2015 versus when you and I were growing up in the 80s and 90s. Again, you got about 6 years on me. So with that and this whole pseudo nerd thing, and again, we're talking to the roided out 250-pound muscle beast who's got the Boba Fett tattoo, or the I don't want to call him a slut but basically the slut wearing a Transformer T-shirt that has the black rimmed glasses and says, "Oh, I'm a nerd," when she's a supermodel.
Right.
That's what we're talking about when we're talking about pseudo nerds.
There's the whore that found glasses.
The whore that you're not a nerd, you're a whore that found glasses.
I love those memes.
Yeah. But I think both talking about nerds and geeks in 2015 and the pseudo nerds can kind of go together from the point of we were talking about basically the acceptance of nerds in 2015. One of the problems, and this is my opinion alone, I don't know where Sean stands on this, is that America today are pussies compared to America in the 1980s and the 1990s.
I'd say so.
From the fact of bullying, or what, again, you're talking about 1980, 1990 standards of bullying versus today. Yeah, let's face it, kids can be fucked up. Kids can be mean. They can be rude.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the problem is, first off, I think it's a lot more acceptable to be a nerd now because nobody wants to basically be the one that says, "Oh, you're a bully." There's this negative stigma. I mean, I wasn't a bully. I don't think you were a bully. We kind of
No way.
And I wouldn't even say that I got bullied in high school.
Well, I wouldn't either, but by today's standards,
oh yeah,
we probably did.
Yo, absolutely. I got I wore a Transformers T-shirt or a GI Joe T-shirt to school, and it wasn't even what we would call retro nowadays, but I was into it, and I wore it to school in high school, and I'm sure somebody made some off comment. I was never stuffed in a locker. I was never stuffed in a trash can, but I'm sure I got good grades and wore geeky T-shirts, and I don't wear glasses, so I didn't have that, against me. But I'm sure at some point I was called a geek or a nerd by somebody. But I think nowadays people are so sensitive to the concept of bullying that nobody wants to have that negative stigmatism.
Possibly overly sensitive.
Overly sensitive. So I don't know necessarily, and like you said, we're both self-admitted geeks and nerds. There's nothing wrong with it. You're into what you're into. I'm into what I'm into. A lot of our stuff, I'd say 99% of our stuff crosses over.
Sure.
And we appreciate everybody who's into it as well, and can appreciate people who are into different stuff. But I think America is in such a the term has been used before, the pussification of America, to where everything, it's okay, you're different, and that's okay, and it's okay to be okay. And you're a bully, and that's not okay. So I think I don't have an answer, but my curiosity is piqued about whether or not it's really okay, or it's accepted, or is it it's just accepted because people are too afraid to call people geeks and nerds because they don't want to be labeled as a bully. So, and then the pseudo nerd thing is people change too. So you could have like me, I was a fat kid in high school. I'm still fat today. I admit that.
Get out.
Yeah. I love that food. But there's nothing to say that the 250-pound monster at the gym wasn't a fat nerd in high school, and he's just got his shit together that
No, I'm not saying. I'm talking about the ones that got their tattoo yesterday or something,
Okay. Okay.
Or the ones that have the, they'll buy the nerdy T-shirts because it's ironic now.
Yeah.
Or,
and that's kind of, but and I agree with you that there's two different realms we're talking about, because you could have the ugly duckling girl who was a nerd in high school and then got really, really hot in college and is now wearing those T-shirts and is really into it.
but also aren't the ones that are taking their selfies and panties and put on the internet either.
That's all publicity. That's all that is. Sex sells. Let's face it. We like a good pair of titties. So
I don't. It is possible that there are those out there, but the ones I'm talking about are the ones that
are doing it because it's cool.
Yeah, because now again, like Big Bang Theory and
Yeah.
MythBusters, because it's cool to be a geek or a nerd.
Yeah.
Therefore, they're doing it. Those are the ones I'm talking about.
Basically, you're specifically talking about the jocks and the cheerleaders and whoever the pretty people that made fun of us,
right?
And shoved kids in lockers and gave them wedgies and shit. And now,
Yeah,
they
basically
have the Boba Fett tattoo because it's cool.
Yeah, basically the people that are embracing what we have always been, but would once persecute us for being
Gotcha.
back then.
Okay, that makes sense.
It does? Okay, good.
Yes,
Because in my head it made sense.
it does. I wanted to get out that we're not trying to single everybody who.
No,
does that
absolutely not. No, and again, if someone has changed, that's fine. But again, the one
Don't do it because it's the cool thing to do now.
exactly.
Let us have our geek stuff and
Yeah.
go lift weights. and
Basically,
steroids.
we paid our dues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Don't be a walk on.
Don't take my shit away from me. All right.
Okay, well now I think we've tackled that subject. Now
I think so.
let's move on to what we expect or hope from episode 7, which comes out in 12 days.
Oh God, I'm gonna let you start.
Well, what I'm hoping, aside from a complete departure from episodes 1, 2, and 3, which when we saw Kevin Smith at Comic-Con San Diego 2014, he had just gotten back from England where
From
he
the set.
Yeah, where he visited the set, and where apparently he was accidentally invited by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, he said, because he got the email and said, well, you know that I'm this Kevin Smith, and then the response was, oh shit. Well, Abrams, from what I understand, everything I've read about him, he has basically grown up a student of Lucas and Spielberg,
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
which I'm hoping it's the
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6 George Lucas, not 1, 2, and 3 Lucas.
Yeah,
But
and I know, like I said, I know you, like, we've already established you're 99 to 1% Star Wars or Star Trek.
right,
I'm about a 70-30. I liked what Abrams did with Star Trek.
yeah, and I haven't seen those yet.
And you haven't seen them. I've seen both of them. I'm not a big fan of the second one, but it wasn't bad. I like the first one a lot. They took it a completely different. It's a reboot. It's not a remake. It's a
Right.
reboot. They had the familiar characters, the familiar settings, but they took it in a completely off the wall, and I enjoyed it very immensely.
And everyone said that basically the Abrams Star Trek movies, that he did 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
Those 2 would almost be like if Lucas had done Star Trek.
Yeah, I would say definitely Lucas 4, 5, and 6, not Lucas
Right.
1, 2, and 3.
Well, and another thing I like about Abrams is that he's really into practical effects.
Absolutely.
He is not CGI.
No, he's not
In
CGI.
fact, I said, in 1, 2, and 3, there was not one. Well, actually, there was none in 1, but in 2 and 3, there was not a single clone trooper uniform, helmet, whatever made. It was all CGI.
Yeah.
And the early leaks of the Star Wars Episode 7 footage was of like a table full of helmets,
Yeah.
and I got excited then.
Yeah.
So my expectations for Episode 7 is that it is an apology for 1, 2, and 3. Because I feel I am owed an apology for the prequels.
Yeah, you have such disdain.
There
for
is
them.
no excuse for making
like
those.
you won't even watch them. I've watched them.
I've seen them.
Yeah,
I've
but
seen
you won't-
them.
If they're on TV, you won't watch them.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so I'm hoping for a logical continuation of the story. And again, they've been really good at leaking no information whatsoever about the story. I mean, you watch all the trailers. I mean, there's
See, I've intentionally not watched all the trailers.
yeah, I've watched the trailers, but they've not given anything up.
Yeah. The only trailer that I've watched is the very first one that came out with you don't ever see Luke, and from my understanding you still haven't seen Luke.
Still haven't, no.
And what basically where Han and Chewie are sitting on the basically the deck or the bridge of the Millennium Millennium Falcon, excuse me, and Chewie were home. Like I literally, I got goose pimples.
Goosebumps.
Just,
I got chills. I got tears in my eyes.
thank you, baby Jesus.
In fact, the first time I saw that, I think Tammy and I went to see the Avengers, the Avengers
Was
movie.
it the Avengers?
I think it's Avengers. Well, Marvel's,
Yeah.
Disney's. It was probably the Avengers, and they showed that trailer, and I was beside
Well, and then
myself.
our families went and saw Jurassic World,
Right.
and they played it again.
Yeah.
And just still,
It's
that
awesome.
and
Yeah.
this is probably like the 6th or 7th time I've seen it, and I know it, and I'm just like, oh, I'm a school kid again.
Exactly.
It brings that just hearing the sounds. You know, you hear a TIE fighter, you hear a laser blast, and it's very.
You hear the Falcon.
You hear the Falcon.
Yeah.
You hear Luke's voice, and even though it's an older Mark Hamill, because obviously it's 30 years later, but you still know you hear R2D2 or it gives you that, oh my god, like I don't want to say orgasmic, but it's close.
Well, yeah, it's up there.
It's up there, which is terrible, but that's who we are. So,
But no, I really hope it's a logical continuation of the story, and I really hope it serves as an apology for 1, 2, and 3 because it can't be worse. Let's put it that way.
oh god, I hope not. If not, you're gonna have a lot of pissed off nerds.
I know, but I'm sure.
Okay, so other than, do you have anything specifically that you want to see? Like
No, I want to see the story. I want to experience Star Wars again.
Yeah. Well, and I think they're gonna have to go. I mean, because let's face it, it's 30 years. Let's see, what 70? So what? 78, 79,
77
77
was episode 4.
Episode 4. What was Jedi?
83.
83. So we're 20, 30. Yeah, so we're
32 years.
32 years out. So they're in their 50. The characters, or not the characters themselves, but the actors themselves are 32, 33 years older than they were
Right.
at the end of the last one.
Which gave them a lot of room to work with story-wise.
Which gave them a lot, and from my understanding, they're actually taking it somewhere approximately 30 years down the road. But the problem is that those characters are in their 50s now, even as characters, because
So the actor's a little bit older than that.
well, the actors, but like Luke was. I mean, I don't think they ever actually give his age, but you see him go from and we don't know what the series of time is either.
Right.
But he definitely, just looking at his appearance, he goes from a boy, 15, 16, 17 years old in the first one, or I'm sorry, in episode 4 in Star Wars, to, I would say, a man
Right.
at the end of Jedi,
Right.
where he's probably, you could estimate early 20s to late 20s.
Yeah.
And then you have Han, who, my guess is he was already in his 30s
At least, yeah.
in that one. So 30 years later, he's pushing 60. So I think they're going to have to, unfortunately, even though they're some of my most beloved characters, they're going to have to wrap up Luke and Leia and Han.
Yeah. Well, if I understand, Han, this is the last Han Solo story because he's done being Han Solo.
Harrison Ford is done being Han Solo.
Yeah. It would be a suicide mission if they tried to recast Han Solo.
Well, from what I've read, and again, I haven't seen any other trailers, but there's already speculation that they're going to offshoot and show basically a Han prequel, because they're already casting somebody to play a young Han, which I don't know if that's suicide, but it is what it is. But anyway, back to my point is that they're going to have to wrap up, because like with Yoda and Chewbacca, we don't know how old they were.
Well, Yoda was 900 years old.
Correct, but they weren't humanoids like Lon. Wow, Leia, Han, and Luke. So we know about how long.
Is that
they're
like
gonna
like
live.
Benlo?
Apparently so. Guido. I did it intentionally that time.
Well, no, Lon is Leia and Han.
Yeah.
Like Benlo is J-Lo and Ben Affleck.
Gotcha. Okay.
Never mind.
But basically, they're going to have to wrap up that story and push it into basically the next generation of Star Wars. And because from my understanding, they want to basically, they're intending to put out a movie every 1 or 2 years
Until the day
forever.
you die, right?
Yeah.
But again, they've expanded the universe. They've got basically it's everything under the Star Wars umbrella is not necessarily that story.
True.
But I understand that they're doing 8 and 9 as well,
Yeah.
and which I understand Hayden Christensen's coming back in number 8. Anakin Skywalker.
Really?
That's the rumor. Yeah, I'm not too thrilled about that either.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, so and I agree with you. I'm more curious more than having expectations on how
Yeah.
they're going to wrap things up.
No, I'm a baby bird.
Yeah, just feed me, give me more, and let's see what the next steps are going to bring.
Absolutely.
In. So, can't wait. 12 days. We have
Yeah.
our tickets. We took time off work. Well,
Yeah.
I did. You had the days off. So.
And we will be sure and do a spoiler-free review of.
We won't give spoilers, but we'll say I hated it. I loved it. 2 thumbs up, 2 thumbs down.
Exactly.
So,
Okay,
what time are we at?
we're at about an hour or 2 right now,
Oh,
so
wow.
we start wrapping it up.
Do
Okay.
you want to do the questions? You want to save those for next one?
No, we have time for the questions.
All right. Is that the next thing we're talking about? Is just our trivia questions?
Yeah, we have a bit of a trivia challenge that we tasked each other with coming up with 8 questions and 2 bonus questions.
I think I did 10.
Okay, well,
I got 10
I'll
questions.
take it back. No, I have 10 and 2 bonus as well.
Okay.
And we're going to see how much each other knows about various topics.
I'll go first.
You go first.
All right. I'm just going to go read all the 10. They are multiple choice if you need them.
Okay.
All right. So number 1, and again, this is going to be all kinds of stuff. I did Sean specifically on toys because he's a toy geek. G.I. Joe. There's some Star Wars, obviously, and some other random ones, I think, too. All right. What was the variant feature on the Zorana action figure?
Oh, shit.
Basically, what was different on this figure that makes it more valuable to collectors than the more common version?
Oh, God. Believe it or not, I heard this just the other day.
Do you want the multiple choice?
Yes.
All right. Chromed weapons and belt, cloth cape with snaps, different head sculpt with earrings.
Earrings.
Damn it, he got it. All right.
I was trying to do it without the multiple choice, but
Yep, it's the different head sculpt with earrings makes the Zorana
yes.
more valuable. All right, number 2. What interesting thing was on the back of G.I. Joe RAH backer cards?
Talk about the file cards?
They said dossier file cards.
Okay.
So yeah, the ones that had the information about the people,
Yeah.
I'll give that one to you because I copied and pasted it, but it could because I didn't even know what RAH was, but that makes sense.
It's ARH.
Real American,
A Real
Hero.
American Hero.
Okay, no RAH. Isn't that what I said? Real American Hero.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you're fine. You're right.
Okay, you got it either way. All right.
Oh, I was thinking ARAH is what I was thinking of. A Real American Hero.
Oh, okay.
I'm not retarded, I
That's
swear.
Just a little bit. Rotated.
I may have a dash of downs. I don't know.
All right. The Force, in quotes, lightsaber, was available with blades in which 3 colors?
The Force lightsaber.
Yeah, it's the Force is in quotes. That's what they called it. The Force lightsaber was available with blades in which 3 colors?
I'm going to just guess and go with red,
Okay.
blue, and green.
Nope.
No.
It was red, green, and yellow.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm not sure what the Force in quotes actually refer
Okay.
to.
What was the difference between the original Han Solo toy and its variant?
From the first line?
I don't know. That's all the question said. I'll give you the multiple
Okay.
choice.
Well, say, hold on. If it's the original Han Solo,
Okay.
they had the big head and the little head.
It's the head.
Yeah.
All right. On Kenner's X-Wing,
Okay.
how would you lock the S-foils in attack position?
Push down R2's head.
That is correct. That one was too easy. And actually, I didn't even mark the correct answer on that, but I know that's what it was.
It is what it is.
All right, number 6. What was a special feature in Darth Vader's TIE Fighter?
Special feature?
Yes.
Well, he had the advanced TIE fighter, so he had the wider and then the angled.
Specific to the toy, not the difference between the TIE fighter
The
and the
toy.
advanced.
Oh shit!
Specific to the toy.
I never had that. I still don't have that.
Okay, I'll give you a multiple choice.
Okay.
Mini Darth Vader figure, firing missiles, sound, or blast apart wings.
Well, they all had blast apart wings.
Well, it said blast apart wings. So.
Yeah. No, so they all have that. So.
Oh, do they? Okay, well, that's what that question said. Again, this is me coming up with stuff off the internet, so I'll give that one to you. Because that's what they said the answer was it had blast apart wings.
Okay, I'll just give a different answer, but if you give me the right one, I'll take it.
All right. How many proofs of purchase were required for a mail-away Anakin Skywalker?
5.
Jesus, you're good. What size did G.I. Joe come in? This is a gimme. Because I even knew this one.
What size?
What size figures?
The original G.I. Joe?
Yes. There's two sizes that you can get G.I. Joes in. What were they?
12 and 3 3/4.
There you go. I was going to say, you better know that because I knew that.
Oh, I've got both.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. All right, number 9. Early G.I. Joes had a severe problem. What was it?
Early G.I. Joe has severe problem?
Yes, with the toy, the manufacturing specifically of the toy. There was something wrong with the toys. What was it?
Okay, we're on the toys or the manufacturing of them? Is it the toy itself or the manufacturing process?
Both. From the factory, when you got the toy, there was an issue with the toy. What was it?
The biggest issue I have with them was the O-ring breaking.
Okay, I'll give you multiple choice.
There was
They were non-posable, the arms wouldn't move, the heads would shrink, or the guns fired dangerous projectiles.
I'm going to go with the arms.
Nope, it's the
No.
heads would shrink. So apparently,
Was this on the 12-inch ones?
it didn't specify, but what it did specify was that there was an issue with whatever compound they were using,
Uh-huh.
specifically for the head molds. Apparently the mixture was wrong, and when the toys over time would actually shrink to a smaller size because it didn't cure
Oh.
properly.
I had no idea.
So if you ever find a G.I. Joe with a small freaking head, snatch that up because it's probably worth some money. All right. 1995 to 2002 Star Wars toy line. What is the hardest toy to find?
95 to 2002, the hardest toy to find?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Is there multiple choice?
There's multiple
Oh,
choice.
thank God.
Darth Vader, Dark Trooper, Han with the Tauntaun, or Luke with the Tauntaun.
I'm going to go with Luke with the Tauntaun.
It's Han with the Tauntaun. All right. Bonus question number 1. The back of the package on any Star Wars toy, which begins with .0000, means what? You want the multiple choice?
Yes, I do.
All right. It's the first choice, it's the first toy of the batch. It's a test toy, never to be sold. It's a random number selected for the toy. It's the first original release of the toy without any modifications to the package or toy.
D.
Yeah, it's D. Good job. All right. The last bonus, which is the hardest one in my opinion, but you probably know it. There is no multiple choice.
The pressure's on.
The
Okay.
pressure's on. I do have a hint, but it is not multiple choice. The 300th figure of the Star Wars toy line
Uh-huh.
is what?
Boba Fett.
You motherfucker. God damn it. Is that a guess or did you know that?
I knew that one.
That's not bad. You missed 3 and you got both the bonus.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Okay, yours aren't as detailed.
Okay.
I said I just went with general knowledge stuff.
All right.
And, okay, what planet does Voltron reside?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I have no multiple choice at all.
I can't come up with it.
Starts with an A.
I still can't
Okay.
come up with it.
Eris?
Okay.
Okay.
I should know that, but...
Okay, now, 2 trains leave Chicago, both traveling 55 miles per hour. The first train is traveling on a level plane, And the second train is on a 6% grade. What is the name of Cobra's weapon supplier?
Zartan.
Want to try again?
Isn't
That's the Master of Disguise.
Fuck. I thought it was Zartan was his weapons guy.
No.
I like the way you did that question. I'm like, am I gonna need my calculator? I can't come up with it off the top of my head.
Destro.
Oh God.
Okay.
I knew that. That's
All
stupid.
right. Now you're over 2 so far.
All right. Not as
Okay.
cool as you are. I'm killing all my geek cred.
Or maybe you're cooler than I am.
I might be. I don't know. I'm gonna go home and play World of Warcraft and cry myself to sleep.
Who is the Lord of the Thundercats?
The Lord?
That's
Lion-O.
okay. Good enough. Lion-O's weapon was known as a sword of
Sort of Seeing. No.
no,
Why did I think the sort of?
because you're thinking of sight beyond sight.
Okay, that's why. I can't think of what it was. The sort of
Sort of omens.
omens. Yeah.
Okay, that's 1 for 4 so far.
All right.
Okay.
At least I got one.
All right. What planet does He-Man live on?
Oh Jesus.
Oh, come on.
Wow.
Come on, really?
Dude, I'm in one of those. I'm out of it today.
Man, I even dumbed these down.
What is it?
Eternia. Okay, so I don't hold much hope for this next
Yeah,
one for
no.
you. What does he chant to turn into He-Man? I know you know this one.
I know it. I'm trying to think of what it is because I'm getting Thundercats and
You texted me this saying just the other day.
by the power of Grayskull.
Yes. Okay.
By the power of Grayskull, I have the power.
Okay, I have by the power of Grayskull. So, where does Skeletor live?
Oh shit. Snake Castle. Snake something.
So it's Snake something. Yes.
Snake Mountain.
Yes.
Okay.
Good job. Okay. Now Star Wars.
It's Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain.
Correct. Okay. Now a Star Wars question with a follow-up.
Okay.
That's the
All
8,
right.
8 and 9. In the original trilogy, how many characters wielded lightsabers?
In the original trilogy,
4, 5, and 6. Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. Counting each character once.
counting each character once.
Yes.
There's only 3.
No, there's not. There's more.
Okay. In the first one, you have Luke,
Mm-hmm.
Kenobi,
Mm-hmm.
and Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Yoda didn't get his lightsaber until episode. What was that? 2.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't count. Hold on. Let me think about this then.
We need the Jeopardy music or something.
I know we do.
Maybe we'll add that in post.
We might have to. do 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 do. Wait, who actually regularly uses them?
No, who physically handled a lightsaber?
Han Solo does in Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, so your answer is how many then?
4.
Yes.
Okay,
And the follow.
that's a trick question.
It was. How's that a trick question? How
Is
many? He wielded a
He
lightsaber.
did. You are correct. He cuts open the tauntaun.
Yes.
All right. That's a
Okay.
good
And the
one.
follow-up was name them. You got that one. So
Okay.
Okay. In the prequel trilogy,
Okay.
why were they made?
Because Lucas was running out of money.
I also accepted that he was a money-grubbing whore. So
Okay.
yes, good job.
All right.
Okay. Next questions. I don't think you get these.
No,
No.
I'm having a bad day.
No. And they're both about Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
More right, production of.
Okay.
What was the original name of Return of the Jedi?
Oh shit! I know this vaguely.
Either do you.
I know
don't.
I've heard it, but I can't. I'm not going to be able to recall it.
Revenge of the Jedi.
Revenge of the Jedi. I did know that.
Okay. Super extra bonus.
Okay.
What was the working title of Return of the Jedi?
I have no clue.
When someone would come onto the set and go, hey, what were you guys filming here? They said it was
Project X.
Blue Harvest.
Blue Harvest.
Blue Harvest.
I had no idea.
Which is why the Family Guy Star Wars was called Blue Harvest.
Oh.
That way, when someone comes up, hey, what are you guys making here? Blue Harvest. Okay, see ya.
Yeah.
You know.
I got. Okay. I had no clue on that one. I knew the revenge.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's a good place to wrap it all up.
Yep. How long are we in? Like an hour and a half?
We're at 116 right now.
That's not bad.
Okay. And with that, that will just about do it for this episode of Geeks Talk Back. I hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed ourselves making it.
Hell yeah.
Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, and you can follow us on Twitter at Geeks Talk Back, and be sure to like us on Facebook. We're your hosts. I'm Sean,
I'm Chris.
and we're signing off.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.